Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're running a threat intelligence briefing to map out the digital battlefield. Listen, if you operate any device connected to the internet, attackers don't just see a person. They see a target, a payload delivery system, and a potential payday. So we're going to analyze this landscape directly from the cyber threat's point of view, so we can actually build a stronger defense against them. Okay, so let's dive into this question first, because understanding the difference here is step one to knowing your enemy. To an attacker, a system vulnerability is just a flaw in the code, right? Like a missing patch or a misconfigured server. But a human vulnerability? Now that's our psychology. It's our natural instinct to trust people, our tendency to panic, or our urge to act quickly. Threat actors map out exactly how to exploit both of these, and as you'll see, they use very different weapons for each. We've organized this briefing into 5 crucial sections. We'll start with the threat landscape, followed by malware's technical assaults and phishing's human hacks. Then we'll cover spotting the red flags, and we'll finish up with your defense playbook. All right, Section 1, the threat landscape. Basically, the 2 main theaters of cyber warfare. First up, we have malware, which is short for malicious software. Now, to a threat actor, malware is this massive umbrella term. It covers everything from minor annoying nuisances all the way to nation-state level destructive payloads. Their primary goal here is really simple. They want to interact with your operating system, your files, or your network architecture in ways you absolutely did not authorize. On the flip side of that, we have phishing. This is a predatory tactic that honestly couldn't care less about your fancy firewall because it's designed to exploit human nature. Instead of hacking the systems, attackers are hacking you. They use deceptive communications that look completely 100% legitimate to manipulate you into basically opening the front door for them. Moving on to Section 2, malware, the technical assault. Let's look at the anatomy of these attacks. Think about the difference between 2 of the most foundational weapons in an attacker's arsenal. A virus is kind of like a parasite. It attaches itself to a legitimate file, and it actively needs you to click it or open it or execute it in order to spread. A worm, however, that is an entirely self-sufficient beast. It self-replicates across networks without any human interaction whatsoever. A really terrifying example from our intelligence sources is the WannaCry ransomware attack back in 2017. That thing used a worm mechanism to spread across the entire globe in just hours, exploiting network vulnerabilities without a single user clicking a thing. Wild, right? Next, we have the spies and extortionists. A threat actor uses ransomware for highly visible destruction, literally locking up your files, encrypting them, and demanding cryptocurrency for the key. For this, your absolute best prevention strategy is keeping solid offline backups and rigorously patching your systems. By contrast, spyware and keyloggers, they want to stay completely invisible. They quietly sit there, monitoring your browsing, capturing your passwords, and recording literally every single keystroke, sending it all back to the attacker's command server in the shadows. So a really crucial point here is the contrast between a Trojan tricking you at the front door and a rootkit maintaining stealthy, persistent access deep inside your machine. A Trojan horse pretends to be something you actually want, like a free game or some handy system utility. But once you install it, boom, it drops a malicious payload. A rootkit, on the other hand, is purely about evasion. It burrows incredibly deep into the administrator or root level of a system. It actively hides its presence from your operating system and even from your antivirus tools. And attackers absolutely love hidden weapons. Fileless malware is particularly terrifying because it writes exactly 0 bytes to your hard drive. It operates entirely inside your system's memory, using your computer's own legitimate tools against it. Then you've got logic bombs, which are often planted by malicious insiders. They just sit dormant until a specific date or event triggers them to wipe your data. Botnets turn your computer into a silent zombie, part of a massive army controlled by a hacker to launch coordinated attacks. And finally, backdoors. They do exactly what they sound like. They leave a secret entry point propped open so the attacker can just stroll back in whenever they please. Oh, and then there's adware. The highly annoying cousin of malware that completely bogs down your system. It bombs you with endless pop-up ads, and while it might seem like just a mere nuisance, threat actors frequently bundle it with much more harmful spyware. All right, Section 3, phishing, hacking human psychology. This is all about manipulated trust. Act now or your account closes. Dear customer, click here. We've all seen these, right? Threat actors cast a massive net with these generic mass emails that often feature just terrible grammar. The thing is, they don't know who you are. They just know the math. If they blast out millions of these, impersonating banks or government agencies to create a false sense of extreme urgency, a certain percentage of people will panic and click the malicious link without even thinking. But make no mistake, attackers get much more sophisticated with targeted methods. Take spear phishing. They'll literally use your LinkedIn profile to craft incredibly convincing, highly personalized traps. Instead of "Dear Customer," it's an email referencing your exact job title and the specific projects you're working on. If they target the CEO or the CFO, that's called whaling. Going after the big fish for massive financial payouts. We also see clone phishing, where an attacker intercepts a real email you've already received, swapped out a safe attachment for a malicious one, and just resends it. And farming? That's an insidious technique that silently redirects you from your bank's real website to a pixel-perfect fake, even if you typed the web address correctly. We also have to be on super high alert for smishing and vishing, especially since people naturally tend to trust a text message way more than an email. Smishing relies on fake deliver notices or bank alerts sent right to your phone. Vishing involves attackers actually calling you directly. And with modern AI, attackers can clone the voice of your boss or a loved one in seconds. They weaponize your empathy to create a highly stressful, totally confusing situation. Billions. To put this into perspective, that is the staggering amount of money lost globally every single year just to business email compromise, or BEC, where attackers spoof finance departments. They hijack a legitimate business email account and simply instruct an employee to wire funds to a new fraudulent supplier account. There's no complex malware required here, just a deceptive email that costs the global economy billions. Moving to Section 4, Spotting the Red Flags. Let's talk about the patterns of deception. I want you to memorize this rapid-fire checklist of red flags, because legitimate organizations will literally never email you out of the blue asking for your password. Always look out for extreme pressure tactics. Attackers want you to act before you have time to think. Check the sender domain really carefully. It's easy to miss that Google is spelled with 2 zeros. Always hover your mouse over links to see where they actually lead before you click. And, of course, always be super suspicious of unexpected attachments, especially executable files or zips. Finally, Section 5, your defense playbook. How do we neutralize these threats? Defeating malware is basically a technological arms race, requiring escalating layers of defense, moving from basic signature matching all the way up to advanced endpoint detection and response. Step 1 is signature-based detection, which is kind of like checking a wanted poster for known malware. But because attackers are constantly writing new code, we need Step 2, heuristic analysis. This looks for suspicious behavior, like a program suddenly trying to encrypt every file in your hard drive. Step 3 is sandboxing, where we safely detonate a file in a completely isolated environment just to see what it does. And finally, EDR provides continuous active monitoring across all your devices to catch advanced threats in real time. But here's the thing. For phishing, technical filters and DMARC protocols absolutely must be paired with human controls. Technology can filter out a ton of spam and verify sender domains, but sophisticated phishing will eventually slip through the cracks. That's why multi-factor authentication, or MFA, is absolutely critical. Even if you accidentally give away your password, the attackers still can't get in without your secondary approval. And regular training alongside fake phishing simulations, that's what builds up your psychological immunity over time. So, bringing it all together, neutralizing these threats requires a dual approach. Traditional antivirus fights the malicious code, which means you need aggressive patching and endpoint security. But stopping credential theft relies entirely on you recognizing the deception, requiring awareness training and that crucial multi-factor authentication. I want to leave you with this thought to end our explainer today. We hear it all the time. Humans are the weakest link in cybersecurity. But when empowered with the right knowledge and tools, a vigilant user is a firewall that no hacker can bypass. Stay vigilant and keep learning.